Hi there, my name is Renee Hobbs and welcome to LSC 530. This is the first class and I hear somebody calling me. So let's see what's going on here. Okay, Lisa, how are ya? Hey Lisa. Hey there. Yay, Erin. Hi, welcome.
Hi.
Okay, hi. Thanks so much for joining me tonight. I just had to take another call from Lisa Park, who is actually starting her own Google Hangout and inviting me to join. But I'm glad you're joining. I think Lisa will be joining us very shortly. For those of you who are watching remotely, my name is Renee Hobbs. I'm a professor of communication studies at the Harrington School of Communication and Media at the University of Rhode Island. And I am welcoming you to LSC 530. We have a great class scheduled for this semester. Although it's fully online, it is a class where there's a lot of interaction and a chance for us to learn about children's literature, about young people in media, and about the whole range of ways in which public and school librarians are supporting the emotional, social, and intellectual development of children and youth. I'm so happy to be teaching this class because I bring several areas of interest and expertise to this course, and hopefully will use this semester to continue my own learning. I'm trained as a developmentalist and have a deep interest in the intersection between human development and children's media. By the word media, I define it as print, visual, sound, and digital media. So we'll be looking at all those forms. And we're really going to be focusing this semester on thinking about children ages 5 to 15 with probably a little bit of a focus on the younger age range, maybe the 5 to 11-year-old. We're probably not going to address the needs of preschool children as well as we could, and we're probably not going to address the needs of teens as much as we could. Those topics get talked about in other courses. Emotional, social, and intellectual development of children. Now, so Lisa, I see that you have joined us teaching this class because so I'm really glad to see Erin and Lisa here tonight, and hopefully as the night proceeds, we'll have some other students. At this point, it might be, since I've introduced myself to you and talked to you a little bit about my own interests and the focus of this course, it might be good for you folks who are participating live to introduce yourself to me. So, Erin, why don't we start with you? Can you turn your microphone on and introduce yourself to me?
Okay, well, I'm Erin O'Neill. I am in Utah currently. Just graduated from Westminster College with my bachelor's in English, and I work a full-time job and a part-time job at my local library, where I am a assistant to the teen librarian there. Basically, I help her create her book displays, do a lot of teen work with creating, progressive for Utah, so LGBTQ and female identity work. with my library. It's kind of my passion.
Excellent. How wonderful. Well, it's great to meet you, and it's great to know of your interest in teen librarianship, and we're hoping to learn more from you as the semester goes on. Lisa Park, can you introduce yourself to us, please?
Sure. I am already a librarian. I have been for a long time, and I am working on my certification to teach in a school library, and actually just got hired to teach in the Providence School District in Rhode Island. And it's really a lot of work, but I like it, so that's good, I guess.
That's wonderful. We're glad you're here, and we hope that some of the work that you'll be doing for this class will be kind of immediately relevant to that work. Well, I'm going to do something crazy. I'm going to try to share my screen and see what happens when I share my screen. I'm not exactly sure how that'll work, but we're going to give it a try here. So what happens if I share my screen with you? Oh, maybe what I have to do is I have to open up a new window and put the course name in it. You guys have found the website, I hope. If you haven't, go to texts-tools-children-youth.com and you will get there. Now, let me know if you can see the screen that I'm sharing with you. Can you guys give me a thumbs up or a verbal okay if you see the screen? Woohoo, I see the thumbs up. So hopefully you have migrated yourself to the website, and I want to give you a little tour to give you an orientation to the course, to the strategies we're using, to the philosophy that the course embodies, and then of course we'll dive right in and get ready to think about what we're doing next week. So let's just see if I can do that right now. So one thing to kind of take a look at is up here, these bars at the top are really where a lot of the foundational stuff is. The About bar takes you to the big picture goals, showing you how this course fits into the learning objectives of the program, of the GSLIS program. Right here is a list of the 12, only 12, but isn't that wonderful, only 12 students who are taking this class this semester. There's a little bit of information about how to contact me, my cell phone, my URI, and especially my Twitter. That's a good way to reach me. And then there's a little bit about the policies of this course. So I do invite you to read these over carefully. Then if we go to schedule and syllabus, you can download the syllabus here. Oops, I guess you can, hold on here. I guess you can, you can download the syllabus here, and there it shows up very nicely. I don't know, can you guys give me a verbal if you can see the syllabus now? Can you guys see the syllabus?
Yes, looks great.
Okay, beautiful. Yeah. Beautiful. So the syllabus shows up as planned, and one thing that's kind of cool is that there's a lot of redundancy. The syllabus basically has all the same content that's on the website, but it has it in that traditional linear Word document format that some people like. So then we probably want to talk a little bit about the work that this class involves, and the best way to see that, maybe we should talk about the course design. As you can tell, I'm not using the firewall. I'm not using the learning management system Sakai. For many years, I used the tool Blackboard. But now I'm really, as part of my own research interests, I'm really experimenting with the open network learning environment. This is actually a movement of scholars, educators, educational technologists, and others who are trying to build transferable skills. one of the reasons why the open network learning environment philosophy is starting to take off is because when teaching and learning online happens behind or within a learning management system, you, students, really learn how to use that learning management system. But once you're out of school, you'll never use a learning management system again. So if we want to teach to transfer, which is a big part of the goals of any kind of professional program, like, for instance, preparing future public and school librarians, then we really want to teach skills that can transfer immediately into the professional world. So working without a net, not working in a walled garden, and using open access free tools that are available to school and public librarians once they graduate is my way of exploring the power of open access as a way to support lifelong learning. Hopefully some of the skills and technologies and tools that you'll get to practice in this class will be immediately useful to you in your work as teen librarians or public librarians or school librarians. So that's a little bit about my philosophy. Over the next few years, I hope to be writing about this experiment, and that's why your frank and candid feedback about whether or not and how this is working for you is going to be really important to me. So I kind of thanking you in advance for, putting up with Crazy Hobbs doing her crazy stuff. Because that's kind of it's kind of part of my research agenda. All right, so now we're going back to the course design. Obviously, the format is something like this. We'll be having this usually about an hour, sometimes a 90-minute, a synchronous meeting in Google Hangout every Monday at 7 o'clock. And if you can't participate in the live meeting, you're expected to watch it on YouTube. And now I want to talk a little bit about the issue of technology competencies. You can see I've written a little bit about it here on the website. It actually doesn't matter what technology competencies you have or don't have for this class. Wherever you are is where you are, and it's great. And one of the things that's really terrific about this kind of course is that we'll have the opportunity to learn from each other, right? So you guys are here, you two are here because you had no trouble at all getting onto Google Hangouts, and yet not all of us are equally this comfortable. So we're going to try to support each other in scaffolding the skills we need to be effective in this class. So let's go back and take a look at some of the assignments that are part of this course, because I think once you have a sense of what the assignments are for the course, then you'll probably have some questions, and your questions will be really important for other people who might be watching this asynchronously and not be able to ask those questions. One thing that's important to know is about the readings. I hope you have had the chance to order the 2 books that we're going to be reading this semester. Kimberly Reynolds' amazing, slender but amazing volume called Children's Literature, A Very Short Introduction. You'll see it right there. And then Virginia Walters' really great book called 21st Century Kids, 21st Century Librarians. Both of those books are easily available as brand new copies or as used copies on Amazon. And then I've posted some of the additional required readings that we'll be using, and mostly those will be available to you online. Here are the assignments, the work that you're going to be doing for the course. Each week, you'll be participating in some small activities, some digital media activities that are going to basically support your learning of the concepts that we're exploring in the readings and the ideas that we're developing in the course. And that means you'll get a chance to use a bunch of different tools, and the idea is to think about how the tool is interacting or engaging with the actual content of the activities that we're working on. The next chunk of assignments are reflective essays. These are worth 100 points each. You do them at 2 points during the semester. They're reflective writing that you post to your own blog, where you show me that you're making sense of the readings, where you synthesize connections between the readings and the course activities. That's the reflective essays are really a very powerful kind of substitute for the stuff we would do in a face-to-face seminar, where I would get to ask you directly about the readings, ask you directly about connections between the readings and your life experience, ask you directly about the synthesis you're making between the activities that we're doing and what we're learning. So the reflective essays are a big part of the learning in this course. One of the funnest things we'll be doing this semester is we'll be doing book and film talks and storytelling videos, making trailers or reviews. Each of you is going to make a careful choice of children's media and develop a 3 to 5 minute video to communicate to a target audience. You might want to promote a book, a film, a music, and a game, an app, or a website. You might want to do a story time where you do a read aloud. You'll have a lot of choices here, and we'll talk more about that as you go. But really, it's a great opportunity to strengthen your own skills of storytelling, doing a book talk, or creating a trailer. Now, the most important part of the course is, of course, the independent research paper or project that you do to develop your own expertise in this area. I give you lots of rope to hang yourself with, because I think the idea of being a graduate student is really based on setting out for yourself the kind of expertise that you want to advance. So you can see you have 3 options for the research paper or project. If you choose to write a research paper, you can gather information, do the important work of reading and synthesis, and write a scholarly paper. I'm looking for something that's suitable for presentation at a professional or academic conference. An alternative to that is to develop a creative project, right, where you actually make something and you present your work in an alternative format. And then finally, if you want to develop a school or community project, that might be something for your library. You'll submit a detailed planning document that describes your aims and your goals and your processes, talk about how that project is related to the themes and ideas we're developing in the class, and then basically you'll present a summary of the work that you do for that project as your final project. All right, that gives you an idea of the work that we'll be doing. Now, Erin and Lisa, we've been joined by Christine. Hi, Christine. We're glad you're here. Thanks for joining us.
Can you guys hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good. Okay. I couldn't figure out why the camera part's not working, but I'm glad you guys can hear me.
All right. We wish the camera were working, but that's okay. We're glad you're here. Now it's time for you guys to ask questions about the assignments and the workload and the syllabus and all that stuff. What questions do you have?
I have one. Oh, am I on mute?
No, you're good. We can hear you.
I have one about the final project. You were saying something we could work on, possibly a creative project, school or community project for the library that, like the one I work, the 2 I work in.
Right.
So what are you thinking as far as a project that incorporates the technology that we're going to be exploring?
Right. Well, that's for you to figure out. So one of the things that's going to be cool is that first we're going to be exploring children's literature, then we're going to be looking at children's media, and then we're going to be making the connection between children's literature, children's media, and then children's library service, right?
Okay.
And so as you read, you might be asking yourself, which of these ideas that I'm encountering could I apply in my own setting? And that's really the creative work that the final project really represents for you. And And so as the semester goes on, I'll probably be showing you examples, and some examples I'll show you might stimulate your own thinking.
Okay.
Right? So for instance, maybe as your creative or your community project, you'll write a grant proposal, right? Because a grant proposal would be a great professional development opportunity. It might allow you to integrate some ideas about what you want to build in your own school library, and that would be an example of a kind of project where you might be able to demonstrate your learning from this course with something that would be kind of immediately useful, right? To you know, to your practice. What other questions do you have about the workload and the assignments and all that stuff? So you're feeling calm and comfortable and ready for action? Is that basically how I can interpret that, Erin? Christy?
Yeah, I'm pretty comfortable.
Woohoo! I love those online learners. Go girls. Okay, so let's go back to the screen share and talk about what's happening for this week. You probably already had a chance to look at it, or at least I hope you've already had a chance to look at it, because boy, am I raring to go. Not having had to see you last week, I was kind of lonely, right? So I've been waiting for a long time for this class to get started. Now you're looking at the intro course, which is this week. The usual procedure will be I'll release this page every Monday, and the work on the page will be due the following week. So you can see here it says, please complete these activities before September 15th at 7 p.m. So these are the small kind of almost, these are like replacements for what we might do in class. These are the things I'd like you to do as you prepare for next week. First, I want you to buy the required books for this course, right? Because we're going to be reading those pretty soon. The next thing I'd like you to do is this chunk called What is Media Anyway? So I'd like you to watch this little short video, What is Media Anyway? And then after watching, I want you to reflect on a typical day in your life and describe all the media that you encounter. Then I'd like you to use the FlipGrid to introduce yourself to the class, explain your use of print, visual, sound, and digital media and technology during a typical day. Lisa, you have a little bit of an advantage because you've been using FlipGrid with me in a previous class, but perhaps Erin and Christine, you have used FlipGrid or you haven't?
I haven't.
I haven't before either.
Aha, got it. FlipGrid is a really cool tool. There's no sign-in or login required. As you notice, I just clicked that URL and I get to this page. This is basically a video discussion board, which is kind of a cool thing. After watching the video, introduce yourself to our class and explain the different types of print, visual, sound, and digital media and technology that you're using during a typical day. Well, here's the video I just made a couple hours ago.
Hi there, I'm Renee Hobbs, and welcome to LSC 530. I'm going to describe to you a little bit about a day in my typical life with various kinds of media and technology. I'm a big news junkie, so I start the day with the New York Times. That's kind of a must-read experience for me. Then I am pretty serious about my Twitter. I use it as a research tool, as a social networking tool. I spend a lot of time on email because I get about 250 emails a day. And let's see, I'm usually reading different kinds of books. I usually have my scholarly reading that I'm pretty addicted to, and my nonfiction reading. I'm a big nonfiction fan. Sometimes I'm reading some fiction, and yeah, then other kinds of news media, especially magazines. I'm pretty attentive to the New Yorker, Harper's, Atlantic, the Smithsonian. In terms of media, in terms of visual media, we kind of cut the cord when it came to cable television, but we do a lot of Netflix. We watch Netflix movies and TV shows. And I'm pretty into satellite radio. I like Pandora, and we use Pandora a lot. And I also have Sirius radio that I listen to in the car. So all in all, that is my life, a day in my typical life with digital and mass media.
Okay, so there you go. So how this works is that if you want, whoever comes to this page next is going to press the red button, or the green button, the plus button, agree to the terms. FlipGrid is created by folks at the University of Minnesota, so it's a nonprofit organization. Maybe you'll turn the flash on and you'll put your face in the page. I don't know, that seems like it would be easy, but it's not so easy. You kind of create a little picture like that. If you like it, you can begin recording. You press the button and you begin recording. Is that not cool or what? Right? So I can begin recording just like that. It says 3, 2, 1, and it reminds me what the question is. The question is, introduce yourself to the class and explain the different blah, blah, blah. And so if I don't like it, I stop it. It goes away.
The question is, introduce yourself to the class and explain the different blah, blah, blah.
Oh, yeah, it's terrible. I hate that, right? So you can just keep trying it until you get it right. It's a pretty fun and easy-to-use tool. What questions do you have about using FlipGrid to introduce yourself by talking about a day in the life? Any questions?
Not really.
Say again?
I don't really have any. It looks pretty self-explanatory.
It's pretty cool. What will make it a fun tool for all of us this semester is that when you get to the FlipGrid, you actually watch the other people's stuff. If you don't do that, then it sort of becomes like just another way to make a video. But if you watch other people's stuff before you post, it becomes like an actual conversation. And that's when it feels really like a real learning environment. Aha! Valerie, welcome. I see you there. Say hi to us, Valerie, and introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. It took me forever. I was on the website and then couldn't figure out how to join, and then went back into my email. So people who are trying to figure it out, go back into your email, and Renee sent us something, and click on it, and everything can join that way. You might have to download a few things. My name's Valerie. I earned my bachelor's in English with Ashford University. I just finished that about a year ago, and I just started here, obviously, and I'm going for the certification in school library leadership, and hope to work in my old high school. I'm calling from Connecticut.
Awesome, Valerie from Connecticut. Welcome. We're glad you're here, and thank you for helping us understand how you figured out how to join the Hangout. Maybe next week, even more students will be able to join. Right now, we're moving our way through the activities that we're hoping you're going to do next week. And so I'm just returning back to the FlipGrid. I'm thinking you guys are all going to have fun with the FlipGrid. I'm just reminding you to watch each other's videos and comment on each other's videos as part of the learning experience. So here we are back at our course homepage. I've just talked about how after you buy the required books, you're going to watch this little tiny video from the folks in Canada who created it, and then introduce yourself to the class and explain your use of print, visual, sound, or media during a typical day. What's next is number 3. I want you to build your personal learning network. I want you to establish a Twitter account and post a message using the class hashtag LSC530. Use appropriate keywords related to this course and search and find at least 10 people to follow, including your instructor. So, demonstration. Can you guys see me go into Twitter right now?
Yep.
Okay, go into Twitter right now. When you go to Twitter, you basically follow the directions and follow people. So, for instance, when I type in library into the search bar, I get everybody who has been talking about library on Twitter, well, within the last 25 seconds, 26 seconds, and so on. You see, I can search for everything. I can search for people who have the word library. You can see on the Library Journal, I'm following the Library of Congress, I'm following the American Library Association, I'm following the New York Public Library, I'm following the folks at ALA TechSource, obviously, right? And I'm following a whole lot of other cool librarians. One of my very coolest people, Bobby Newman, right? An amazing librarian. That woman is, I've learned so much from her, it's unbelievable. So I'm following School Library Journal. I'm following Buffy Hamilton. She's like legendary. These are people, I'm following Yalsa. These are people who I'm learning from online. Toby Greenwald, Internet Human, Trades and Community, Technology, Libraries, and Pop Culture, Director of Digital Strategy at CLP Tweets, right? So find people, actually really, if you really want to get the most out of Twitter, you need to find about 100 people to follow, okay? And you have to interact with them. And so I'm really looking forward to your contributing to this stream. You can see this stream. I've kind of been talking to you before you've even arrived, inviting you to an event on September 17th in Providence at the Providence Library. It's really cool. It's the Teen Tech Squad event. I hope you can come, and then I'll get to meet you face to face. Maybe you're interested in this internship with the Providence Children's Film Festival. I hoped you were, because I linked you in there with the LSC home pad, right? Even in the summer, I was thinking about you, right? And if you're a young adult literature freak, this video made me laugh, and I shared it with you. So all this semester, we're going to be having a dialogue using Twitter with the hashtag LSC530. Unlike a regular class where you only talk to each other once a week for a couple hours, we're actually going to be interacting with each other kind of all week long. And although you might think that's weird and crazy, it's actually awesome, and it really accelerates learning. All right. Any questions about Twitter before I move on? Any questions about Twitter as a communication tool for this class before I go on? Are you guys Twitter virgins, or are you Twitter experienced?
I have never used Twitter in my life, so I created one yesterday, and I've already recruited about 3 friends going, please help me. I don't know what I'm doing.
Cool. All right, so I get to deflower a Twitter virgin. This is so exciting.
I kind of swore off Twitter when it first came out, so this is going to be new.
Did you have some attitude issues with it?
I got over them, but I'm just it just kind of frustrates me sometimes.
Yep.
Crazy.
Chelsea, thanks for joining us. Chelsea, welcome to our Google Hangout. Can you introduce yourself to us?
Yay.
Before I move on, any questions about?
Sorry. One more time.
Hi, Chelsea. Can you introduce yourself to us? We're so glad you're here.
Absolutely, yeah. I've been following along, and I'm having some trouble sorting everything out, but I got it because of Valerie's awesome advice. I'm Chelsea. I am finishing. This will be my first full year of graduate school at URI. I am living in Westerly, and I'm really interested in history. So I'm looking to go more into like archives and things like that. But I have a young niece, so I'm interested in children's literature because I'll most likely go public library sphere as I'm working kind of into the archive field.
Whoa, cool. And of course, that's a great intersection. History and children's literature combined is a really rich and awesome area to explore. So we're going to get a chance to activate your passion for all of that. We're so glad you're joining us. So we've just had a little talk about how we're using Twitter as a research tool, as a communication tool, and as a basically as a social network. I think I'm really committed to the idea of preparing outward-facing librarians who are active, lifelong learners, and who are engaged with the national and international community. And right now, the very best way to do that for a librarian is to be on Twitter and to pay attention to how people are sharing with each other and learning from each other in that space. It's perhaps the best form of professional development that one gets for free. And I think if you practice with me this semester with Twitter, you will definitely find value to it in your professional careers once you leave library school. But give me 12 weeks, because it's part of the assignment and you're getting graded on it, and then at the end of the semester you can tell me whether it was useful to you or not. All right, so here we are back. I'm screen sharing back to the class homepage. We have just reviewed the Twitter assignment, and so now it's time for me to move on and talk to you a little bit about the media and childhood assignment. Can you guys see that on the screen there? Yeah? Cool. So what I'd like you to do is please, another way of introducing yourself is by reflecting on your own childhood. Because here's the reality of it. Whatever you experienced as a child related to print, to books, movies, TV shows, and video games and online media, those experiences are going to shape the kind of librarian that you are. And reflecting on that is really important, right? Because media is constantly changing. Literature is constantly changing. Movies are constantly changing. And yet, all these forms connect the past, the present, and the future. And our pasts are really important to us. So basically we're using a tool called TitanPad, and you can see when you click on the link here, you go to an open page. Again, no sign-in is required. So you can see it says this pad is synchronized as you type, so that everyone viewing this page sees the same text. We use the convention of writing our name before we post. And the activity is, please introduce yourself to our learning community by sharing some memories of your favorite books. We're exploring the way in which small groups of people can engage in collaborative writing using a tool called TitanPad. So I started us off by talking about my being a major fan of the C.S. Lewis series, The Chronicles of Narnia, and why that was important to me. And how weird it was, I found myself identifying with all the male characters in the Narnia stories. I hated the female characters in the Narnia stories, and this was confusing to me. And I didn't get the Christianity stuff, even though I basically was growing up with a mother who was a Catholic school teacher and at a Catholic school. And so that's my little bit of reflection on my favorite books of my childhood. I'd like to ask you to do that for all of the things on the list. You can see here I talked in kicking us off, I talked about The Wizard of Oz, the famous movie of my childhood, and why it was important to me, and why Dorothy was important to me, right? Yeah. So, and you can do that for all of these activities, right? So I want you to basically reflect a little bit about the media that was important to you in your childhood. Does anybody have any questions or comments about that assignment?
Can I just ask, when you're thinking childhood, is there a particular age you want us to focus on?
Such a great question. I'm so glad you asked. When we started the class, we talked a little bit about how our age focus is 5 to 15. We're not really going to be doing as much in-depth work on preschoolers as we might or could. That's a different course. But 5 to 15 is a good way for us to think about the ages that we're going to tackle. And I guess even 5 to 11 for this course is going to be a pretty intense focus, although we will deal with the adolescent, the 12 to 15-year-old. So I'm really glad you asked that question, but you're free to select any age that you can, comfortably remember. They say sometimes people say you really can't remember much before the age of 9, or maybe those are just the stories your parents told you. So that can be complicated, isn't it? Other questions about reflecting on media in your childhood? It should be fun, and it should be a fun way for us to get to know each other. Later on, we'll learn more about how we can use the TitanPad, but the simple elegance of that tool is kind of what I appreciate about it. It's just literally click and type, right? Now, you were going to order the books, but this is the reading that I'd like you to do for next week. We have 3 short pieces to read. Some of you may be familiar with the work of Erik Erikson. He is perhaps one of the most important developmental psychologists of the 20th century. And he's famous for a book called Childhood and Society. And we're going to be reading his chapter 7 in the book Childhood and Society called The 8 Ages of Man. And it's a pretty quick read. It's not a difficult read, but it's positioning us to understand human development across the whole lifespan. And that's a good way for us to start because we are going to be thinking about human development and developmental differences and about children and adolescents. So we want to make sure we understand that the psychological dimensions of the whole lifespan. And that piece is very, very powerful. And it's actually useful at any age that you are. And as you read, I invite you to reflect on where you are in the 8 stages that Erikson proposes. The second piece that I'd like you to read is by a hero of mine, Sonia Livingstone. She's a scholar at the London School of Economics, and she's one of the world's leading scholars on media and children. In this chapter from her book called Children and the Internet, she writes about the changing nature of childhood. And of course, every librarian on the planet who works with children and young people is very well aware of how changing media are affecting the nature of children's experiences as readers and as media users. So I invite you to read that book, take careful notes about what you learn from that book, and realize that you're going to be writing about the ideas that you encounter in these books in your first reflective writing. So these readings are setting us up for a powerful set of discussions. The final reading comes from Lisa Guernsey, who is an expert in children's in childhood, early childhood education at the New America Foundation in Washington, D.C. She's an education policy person who specializes in early childhood, and she wrote a really terrific book called Screen Time, where she invites us to think about, again, about the nature of, the changing nature of childhood. Now, your first homework activity, which is for next week, is to create a blog using WordPress.com and write your first blog post on the topic of media in my childhood. In your blog post, I'd like you to address this question. Reflect on your own childhood and describe one specific example of a book, movie, TV show, musician, website, or computer game that was meaningful to you as a child. Explain why you liked it as a child and what it means to you as an adult. Consider your life experience in relation to what you have learned in the readings about human development, children, and Screen Time, where she invites us to think about, again, about the nature of childhood. Now, your first homework activity for next week is to have their computer going using WordPress.com and write your first blog post on the topic of media in my childhood. In your blog, Amy, hi there. I'm delighted to welcome you. I think you might have another window open that's playing the recording, right? Which is why I'm getting a little bit of an echo. If you could turn that off, that would be grateful. So you guys are going to be. So we're glad you're here, Amy. As soon as you turn off your extra voice, I'd like you to introduce yourself to the class. Can you try to do that now? I'm going to unmute you. See how I'm unmuting you? Let's see. I'm going to unmute you. Can I do that? Have you guys experimented with the buttons at the top there to see how you can mute yourself and unmute yourself? Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Amy, you have unmuted yourself. Say hi to us and introduce yourself.
Hi, I did it. Yay. Yay me. Yeah, this took a while to figure out, but finally found it in my email. It was in my URI email versus my personal Gmail. So that was my secret. I don't know if that helps anybody, but that was my secret.
Welcome, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you. This is only my second class. that I've started. I have an MLS from 1997, and I am going back to get the teaching certificate. So hoping to be a school librarian. And so, looking forward to getting back into school.
We're glad you're here. Are you working now or not working now?
Only for money, not in any libraries right now. Volunteering in my children's school libraries, but yeah, the work I do is merely for a paycheck. So,
but it does mean that as a parent, you have some big insight on children, books, and media. How old are your children?
I have one in middle school who's almost 13, and another one that is in first grade.
Wonderful. Are there any other parents in our class? Besides Amy, any other parents? Okay, Amy, that means so far you play a very special role because, first of all, it means you have daily contact with children. And it also means that you are a little bit of a reality check, right? As we go through the readings and as we encounter a lot of ideas, you will have a special opportunity to give us a reality check because you are raising 21st century children, right? And we will look forward to your special role as a parent in giving us some insights on this course.
Yeah, I've definitely seen changes in my children's school libraries. So
fascinating. Now, I see Chelsea has joined us, and I see Michael. Michael, can you introduce yourself to us? Hi, Michael.
Hello.
Hi. Welcome to our class. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm a URI library. I'm a graduate student. This is my second year in graduate school, and I'm pursuing my dream.
Wonderful.
Library science.
Wonderful. Welcome to the class. We're very glad you're here. Chelsea, I'm not seeing your image anymore, but I'm assuming you guys are all managing to follow along pretty well. I'm going to go back to sharing my screen just to talk with you a little bit about your homework for September 15th. You can see here that you've got to set up a blog. You've got to write your first blog post about media in your childhood by using one specific example of a book, movie, TV show, musician, website, or computer game that was meaningful to you. Explain why you liked it as a child, what it means to you as an adult.
Sounds like a good idea.
And consider your life experience as it relates to. There we go. Consider your life experience and how what you experienced as a child relates to the readings. What questions do you have about the homework?
I have a question about, so we'll create a blog on WordPress, and then is there a way that we will share that with everyone?
Yes, that's a really great question. Once you have created a blog on WordPress, please send me an email with the URL. And what I'll do is I will link that up here. I'm going to share my screen with you and show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to share. Oh, let me go back up to the top. Whenever you want to get to the home page, see this little guy here? You click on this little guy, takes you back to the home page. I'm going to post links to everybody's blogs here on the class roster, right? And that will allow us to essentially follow each other's work. So when you have completed your blog, send me an email, and I'll make that link active, and that will let us look at each other's work online. That was a great question. I'm glad you asked it. Does anybody have another question?
I have a question about the easiest way to reach you.
Oh, yeah. The easiest way to reach me is on Twitter.
Okay, I figured.
Yes, I am constantly available to you on Twitter. If you want to use email to reach me, I suggest you use the hashtag LSC530 in the email. That will help me help your email rise to the top. As you can imagine, when you get 250 or 300 emails a day, I can't always do good triage, especially when the names are still unfamiliar to me at the beginning of the semester. If you put LSC 530 in the reline, you rise to the top of my priority list. Right thing to use LSC 530. That's a great. I'm monitoring the LSC 530 hashtag 5 or 6 times a day, waiting to interact with you. So that's a good way to reach me. Now, the first blog really is the beginning. You'll be putting your reflective writing on your blog, and you'll be putting some of the activities that you compile on the blog. You'll be putting your final project up there. So you'll be basically sharing your professional learning experiences on that blog. What questions do you have about the assignments that I'm expecting you to complete for next Monday?
I have a question.
Okay.
I've never used WordPress before. Does that require any coding or something?
No, it doesn't require any coding. That's what I love about it, Michael. And
So you could just put like anything you ever write will come up and we'll have it all accessible?
Yeah, let me show you a little bit about what you can expect when you go to the website. Of course, I'm using WordPress for this blog that we're using for the course homepage. And do you see right here where it says, need help creating a blog? Watch this video. One of the really great things about the internet these days is that everyone's a learner. We're all learning together. And so I find that when I'm trying to learn something new, I can often go to YouTube and type in the thing I want to learn, and there'll be a really pretty good video. Sometimes I have to pause that video and pause it and do something, and then pause it and do something. But usually I can learn by watching what other people have shared. So I put that video there because I thought that one was really helpful. You will find it pretty easy to make a blog. It only takes about 5 minutes to get started. Now, let me talk a little bit about the last part of the page there. You can see it at the very. Are you guys seeing that? Are you guys seeing that screen share? There it is. You see at the bottom of the page, it says something like, feeling unsure about how to be an effective learner in this class? Have questions? No question is too small. If you are wondering about something, perhaps others are too, or you may be able to answer a question that someone else has. Tonight, for instance, we really learned how the power of learning to figure out how to get onto the Google Hangout was something that you taught each other how to do. And we can all learn from each other in this class, and that's what's going to happen. We're all going to learn from each other. But you can click on this link, ask questions, get answer here, and this is going to be our general placeholder for things we have questions about and things we want to learn more about. And so you can just place a question there, and I'll be monitoring that website every couple days and try to answer that question as best I can. All right, so we have reached the end of our journey on getting an orientation to this. We have 3 things to read, a bunch of. Do you have any questions before I let you go? Okay, now next week we're going to try to meet at 7 p.m. How does 7 p.m. thumbs up if that 7 p.m. next Monday is like okay for your schedule?
Thumbs up.
Woo! All right. Now, we typically give a goodbye team wave because even though we're all in our own little houses, in our own little worlds, we actually have spent the last hour together. So Lisa knows how to do it. We think of this as the Queen of England. You know how the Queen of England waves, you know? Like she gives a goodbye wave. We give our goodbye wave. We love you. We're really excited about learning from each other this year. And we'll see you guys next Monday, 7 o'clock. Look in your email for the Google link to click on, and we'll see you then. Bye.
Good night.
Bye. Bye.